Since the beginning, something about Christian has rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like his friend group, but something about the way he presents himself as this extroverted, life of the party kind of person just came off as inauthentic to me. So much so that he reminded me of the kind of person who would date a trans person with autism purely to stroke their own ego. And while I can't know about Christian specifically, I don't know what's truly in his heart and in his mind, his behaviors are adding up, and it's starting to make a lot of people question, what's going on with Christian? Well, let's see.
I kind of need to get my juice on.
What?
It's topical estrogen gel. You just put it on your arm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so strange.
Word of advice here for Christian. If you're dating someone who's trans or has a medical condition or a disability or anything at all that might make them feel like they are strange, maybe it's better to not go, that's so weird and so strange or anything like that. Even if Christian didn't mean it in a bad way, you should be mindful that Cleo is letting you into her life and showing you things that likely could make her insecure. And it'd be great for you as their supportive partner to really demonstrate and go that extra mile that you support them and you don't judge them and you're just here to understand. It's a little hard to describe without coming off as overly nitpicky, but something about his air like,
I just don't care. I don't really plan. I don't really know what to do. I just go with the flow, man. Just let me take this out.
It just feels a little, not over the top, but acted out in a way that you might take an introvert and ask them to pretend to be extroverted, and they might act in a way similar to how it feels like Christian is presenting, if that makes sense. But more on that later.
Well, I'd like to make a toast to you and I finally getting together.
We got a first date.
First date.
And honestly, I really like that it's not that crowded.
We can be a little bit more personal with each other.
It's more intimate and
yeah. Just enjoy each other's company rather than being distracted by whatever else is going on around us.
Having to scream and making sure you can hear each other.
What?
Yeah.
Let's just take a minute to know right here of what she just said, that she's glad to be here with way less of a crowd where she doesn't have to yell and feels a lot more comfortable.
Whiskey kiss. I can drink this like it's water. I could gurgle it in my mouth. I drink a lot of Jameson. I like it. I want to kind of see you when you're getting a buzz. So see if you get a little goofy on me a little bit. Okay.
Why? Let's warm up with a whiskey. Whiskey kiss. I could drink this like it's water. It's normal to want to have a drink on the first date and get rid of any nerves and help break the ice. But he's mentioned alcohol 5 times now, which is subject to the editing, but it's worth noting.
What do you say about?
And I can understand the motivation and wanting your date to loosen up a little bit and, relax and be more themselves. But I'm gonna go out on a wild limb here and say that Cleo probably didn't give him any reason to believe that a livelier, more cramped and louded environment with alcohol will help her loosen up. So either this was motivated by the producers, which, given how cramped and loud and stimulating the bar they choose is, it could be. But if it's not the producers, then we're forced to believe that either Christian knew this would be a bad idea for Cleo and did it anyway, hasn't been listening to a thing Cleo has said about her autism or how she feels, or he may have listened at the time but is so insecure and self-conscious that he's really only thinking about himself and will make him feel more comfortable. So let's keep watching and see.
It's kind of it. I like places like this.
Very colorful.
Yeah. It honestly looks like a physical representation of my mind.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
This place is really small and crowded.
I know that was an edit, but man, that editor really did him dirty. Wow, this place is a physical representation of my mind. It's small and crowded. That was a good one, TLC. I'll give you that one.
I'm trying to make sure that Christian has a good time here, and I know that he's trying to loosen me up a little, but...
Honestly, I don't know who wouldn't feel a little claustrophobic there. But given how she's presenting, both in the edits and what we're not seeing, it's a little hard to believe that Christian hasn't noticed any of these signs that she's uncomfortable. But it could also be that he has noticed and believes that this is a problem that alcohol will fix.
Yeah, we'll get a drink in you, and then I'm sure it'll open up.
In which case...
Oh, look at this. Wow. Sit him down, brother.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to kind of go to town on it just for a minute, just yeah.
Like I said, having a drink on a date is not that weird. But if I go out and my date immediately starts going, well, hey, hang on, before we start any of this, I gotta whoo-hoo. I probably think that they either think I'm way uglier in person, or they might use alcohol as a crutch. Neither of which are good signs.
I definitely had a couple of drinks. On the plane ride to London, I was walking through the aisle and, everyone was kind of sleeping, but there was this seat with this gal that was sitting there, this blonde girl, right? And she was looking at me like, what are you doing? And then I was like, look, I'm sorry. It's dark in here and I can't see. I'm like stumbling around. I'm kind of like drunk right now.
In case Christian is watching this and doesn't understand how this story can come off to other people, let me just translate the interpretation live for him. You start this story off by describing yourself as kinda drunk and stumbling around when everyone else is asleep. And your first interaction with these random young girls on the plane is with them looking at you like you're a creep and a weirdo and wondering what the hell you're doing. Yeah, most good stories don't start off like that.
She started like talking.
And, I've been drinking all night. I'm a little drunk actually. That's why I'm talking to these random younger women. And I noticed they've made the decision to not drink. And I mean, why would you not be drinking? So, obviously I ordered them some drinks. And when I try to get these random younger women on a plane to drink with me, the flight attendant, who I'm paying to give me alcohol, is cutting me off and not letting me give them my money, which I personally don't drink on planes. So I had to do some research to figure out how hard that would be to get cut off on a plane. Turns out it's pretty uncommon. Or these young girls who are just trying to enjoy their long international flight are complaining about the one guy several rows away who's drunk and trying to now talk to them and get them to drink.
Oh man, I would totally freak out if somebody did that to me.
Okay, being like a 30-year-old man, I could probably look like a creep in that situation, but I wasn't hitting on them, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
Okay, you may not have meant it, but if the girls did indeed complain about you, then you did come off as a creep to them. And since this story really doesn't paint him in the best light, it begs the question, why did you tell her this story to begin with? But before we get to that, we need to hear this very interesting and very telling question Christian asks.
Like, does it bother you that I was making friends with like women on the plane?
Why is that the direction you go with this story? I could be reading into this, but I really think this could be a helpful key in better understanding Christian's motivations. Because this was supposed to be a drinking story, or a long travel story. But for him to take it, seemingly without provocation, in a jealousy, flirtatious kind of way, that just seems odd to bring up if not provoked. Now, it could be that Christian picked up on some body language, or maybe Cleo said something that was cut out, that would indicate to us that maybe she was uncomfortable in a jealousy sense with his behavior. But as it stands, and as we'll see afterwards, it didn't sound like she was jealous, but just that she wouldn't have liked it if someone had approached her on a plane like that.
Oh man, I would totally freak out if somebody did that to me.
You'd think a follow-up question from that story would be something like, oh, you think I maybe came off weird? Or, oh, is that not normal where you're from? But instead, we get, does it bother you that I was making friends with women on the plane? That takes it in a weird direction.
I think Cleo's getting hung up on the fact that I was chatting to younger women, but it's never been an issue for me in past relationships. I think my girlfriends have understood that I'm just like a friendly guy. I hope that, she can kind of see that me being social or talking with women, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Cleo's really jealous about it. She hears about him drinking on a plane and talking to strangers, and instead of getting jealous or anything, she's just remarking like, wow, I mean, that's very different. I wouldn't drink on a plane, and talking to strangers, like, that's so weird. She's even giggling about it, so I really don't get an impression that she's jealous. It just seems like Christian is trying to frame it in that way for some reason.
Hey, excuse me. Are you guys like celebrating something tonight?
It's my friend's birthday.
Your birthday?
26.
26? Awesome. Is this like a local spot of y'all's?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, so Midwest. I'm a very Midwestern boy.
So he takes this as an opportunity to talk to a random group of women nearby to prove his point or something, and then they leave. It just seems very odd that he would tell this story about socializing, get some amount of negative-ish feedback from Cleo, something that is just not complete approval, and then quickly goes to talk to this random group of people in front of her. Is he subconsciously feeling some sense of judgment from Cleo, or maybe a little bit irritated that she doesn't believe that he's just the social guy and needs to prove it to her in front of her? That would be very self-centered, very him-oriented, and might suggest a real discomfort with the idea that other people don't see him in a very friendly, extroverted way. The only other thing I can think of is just pure obliviousness. As if he's so stuck in this character that it just has to come out whenever there's a lull in the conversation or anything like that. Again, I don't know about Christian. I'm not diagnosing him. Who knows how much of this is editing or, the producers say, hey, go do this, for the show. But the way it's presented, since the beginning, Christian has felt like he's putting on a bit of a character with this extroversion, friendly, chatty guy. And I have no vested interest in what his personality really is. I don't care if he's extroverted or introverted or, it doesn't matter to me. But for some reason, when he tells us that he's a really friendly guy and presents in this sort of way, for whatever reason, I don't believe him. And when I think about why, one of the examples that I think of is myself, actually. I am very mildly extroverted, you know, I might consider myself in the 55th percentile on the extroversion scale. But when I was a kid, I presented way more extroverted. I was the chatterbox in class, talking a mile a minute, talking to anybody who would listen to me. I also had undiagnosed ADHD, big surprise. But as I grew up and even through parts of my adult life, whenever I was in a vaguely social situation, even when I was at work and it was like a social lunch, I would notice that I would be the person to break the ice all the time. I would be the person to turn to my neighbors and talk and kind of make friends with everybody. And for the longest time, I thought that was just me. I'm just the super extroverted guy that just makes friends everywhere I go. And although I'm capable of that, I realized that a lot of the times that I was doing that, it was really because I felt like I had an obligation, like it was my job or role to be that person. When really, a lot of the times I didn't care. I just wanted to eat my lunch and be alone. And although I don't think this was the case with me specifically, it wouldn't be unheard of if someone growing up had maybe a lot of chaos in the home or anything like that, any number of explanations. And one of their coping mechanisms was to distract everybody with attention and talking and being extroverted. Maybe someone's parent is really depressed and they can spiral easily. And as a child, maybe once you sense that your parent is getting into one of those spirals, you might feel that it's your obligation to jump up and, hey, you know, you see this really cool thing that I did today, and kind of get them out of that. You could also imagine a household where fighting between the parents is common. And it may have been the role of one of the children to, when a fight was about to break out or while it was going on, that they would jump up and now make all the attention about me and tell jokes and be this silly guy to prevent the fights from breaking out or from letting it get worse. Who knows? I'm not speculating on Christian specifically. I'm just giving a few examples of different life circumstances that could lead to a child developing a coping mechanism of adopting an overly extroverted character when that might not be an accurate reflection of their true personality. And if this extroverted persona was developed as a response to stress, then it might be that the more stressed out or insecure an individual might find themselves, the more that extroverted character is going to come out. Because if it was developed as a coping mechanism against insecurity, then you're probably going to see the behavior most when they're most insecure. So it could be that Christian really is a more introverted guy, but is going on a television show and meeting someone he's never met before with various conditions that he's unfamiliar with. But instead of seeing a lot of that, we get this,
I'm cool as a cucumber. I just go with the flow. Nothing bothers me. I'm just friendly, happy, social guy.
And he might really be that way, but as we've seen, if that really is his genuine behavior, then it doesn't really explain why he keeps missing all of Cleo's cues that she's uncomfortable, doesn't like these things. So is he not that insecure and genuinely being himself, but then also being a bit self-absorbed and oblivious to everyone's feelings around him? Or is he doing that thing where you want to break up with someone, but you don't want to look like a dick, so instead you'll just be a massive dick to them for way longer in hopes that they eventually break up with you? You know, because I don't want to be rude. Or, and personally I think it's more likely, or at least more common, maybe not necessarily for Christian, that something about this situation is making him highly insecure. And that insecurity could be leading to both an extroverted persona taking over and an inability for him to really read the room and think about people outside of his own insecurities and anxieties. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you like this deeper dive on Christian. I'm still figuring out how exactly I feel about him, so please give me any of your thoughts in the comments below. I love to hear about them. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, ring the bell for notifications, and every comment helps the algorithm. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like this video, check out this video where I talk about Christian and every other member for the cast here. Or check out my 90-day Fiance playlist right here.